a mom told her kids to crawl under a freight train. Seconds later, one of them was dragged almost 500 feet. It was a cold, dark evening on December 17th, 2018, in Fresno, California. Joy Frances Collins was walking her 9-year-old son and her 8-year-old daughter, Joyanna Harris, toward the bus stop. They were in a hurry. Suddenly, a long Burlington Northern Santa Fe freight train came to a stop right on the tracks, cutting off their path. It was an inconvenience, but one with a simple solution: to wait. But Collins didn't wait. According to police, determined not to miss the bus, she told her children to cross the tracks by crawling directly underneath one of the stationary rail cars. Her 9-year-old son went first. He squeezed through the gap and made it safely to the other side. Then it was Joyanna's turn. Witnesses later told investigators that the little girl was hesitant. She didn't want to go, but her mother urged her to hurry up. Joyanna began to crawl beneath the train car. It had only been stopped for a few seconds. With no warning, the massive train suddenly lunged forward. In the next moment, witnesses heard her mother screaming as the heavy wheel lodged against Joyanna's body. The train continued moving, pulling her underneath the cars for approximately 500 feet. Joyanna Harris died right there on the tracks. But here's what made the case even harder to understand. This wasn't the first time she was told to do it. Neighbors told investigators they had seen this happen before. Not once, not twice, but at least 7 times. When investigators from the Fresno Police Department began to interview witnesses, a truly stunning and heartbreaking truth came to light. This single, deadly decision was not a one-time desperate choice. Witnesses told police they had repeatedly seen Joy Frances Collins instructing her children to crawl underneath stopped trains in the past. To her, it was simply a shortcut, a way to save even just a few minutes. To the people watching, it was unbelievable, an accident just waiting to happen. Neighbors admitted they always feared something exactly like this would happen. They knew it was only a matter of time before that small gap under the rail car wheels disappeared forever. Fresno Police Chief Jerry Dyer confirmed this pattern publicly, stating that Collins had endangered her children in a similar fashion at least 7 times previously. Police statements underlined the severe danger of crossing under a stopped train, emphasizing that even a small movement can be fatal, a warning that Collins repeatedly ignored. The danger was clear, the warnings were public, and yet the risk was taken until it resulted in the death of an 8-year-old girl. But when investigators looked into Collins herself, the story took another turn. Detectives discovered a history that explained her choices, but didn't excuse them. As the police investigated the background of Joy Frances Collins, they found notes and reports that suggested a turbulent life and history of risky behavior. Court records and police reports indicated past involvement with Child Protective Services, also known as CPS. While the specific details of that past contact were not fully disclosed, the implication was clear. There were documented concerns about Collins' unstable behavior and previous decisions that put her children in harm's way. At her later sentencing, her defense attorney cited a history of trauma, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. However, prosecutors maintained that this did not excuse her failure to take responsibility for her daughter's death. The community outrage was instant and intense. The tragedy stunned the neighborhood, and the news coverage shook the entire city of Fresno. First responders, police officers, paramedics, and firefighters arrived at the scene of an unspeakable horror. The emotional toll of the people who had to process the sight of Joyanna's body was immense. Collins was arrested and booked into the Fresno County Jail on suspicion of felony child neglect likely to cause great bodily injury or death and trespassing. And then came the hardest part. The moment the train crew realized what happened. The train stopped only seconds after her body was pulled underneath. According to the investigation, the Burlington Northern Santa Fe freight train had only stopped for a period of about 12 seconds before it began to move again. The train crew was operating normally and was unaware of the frantic activity happening below them. They experienced the sudden jolt and the subsequent emergency stop, followed by total confusion and eventual horror when they were informed what had happened. They were just doing their job, following protocol, never knowing the immediate and fatal danger their rail car posed to the child beneath it. Joyanna's 9-year-old brother, who had successfully crawled under the train moments before, was a witness to his sister's death. The trauma he endured is unimaginable. He was later placed into the custody of his grandparents. Collins ran alongside the train as it dragged her daughter, finally managing to pull Joyanna's body out from underneath the rail car when the train stopped for the second time. She was critically injured and partially dismembered. Collins was later found guilty of 2 counts of child abuse and endangerment. She was sentenced to 6 years in prison. The public response was varied, but the common thread was grief and anger over a completely preventable death. During sentencing, Collins wept, saying, "If I could take back my actions, I would. Not a day goes by that I don't regret that." And the final question everyone asked was simple: how do you stop this from ever happening again? This wasn't just a tragedy. It was a warning a lot of people ignored. The story of Joyanna Harris is a painful, brutal reminder of the absolute and non-negotiable danger of train tracks. Never attempt to crawl under, through, or over a stopped train. Train cars can move at any moment, with no warning, and even a slight shift can be deadly. You can't predict when an air brake will release, when the engineer will perform a test, or when the train will suddenly lunge forward. The only safe way to cross tracks is at a designated, protected crossing point. This case also stresses the importance of community vigilance. Neighbors knew this dangerous routine was happening. They admitted they feared this would happen. If you see children, or anyone, repeatedly putting themselves in such a dangerous situation, you have a responsibility to speak up. Whether it's contacting the authorities, or even just making a report to the railroad police, one phone call can save a life. Joyanna died because of a choice no child should ever be asked to make. Her story isn't easy to hear, but it's one that needs to be remembered. If you knew about this case before today, let me know. And if you want more true cases that raise real questions, hit like and subscribe. Thank you all for watching.